Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another live show. League of Inches here and reviewing all the action from finals week one. Plenty to talk about. Absolutely fantastic game that we just witnessed. The Brisbane Broncos defeating the Canberra Raiders in arguably potentially the game of the year, if not one of the best games I've ever seen. It was absolutely phenomenal. So many talking points coming out of this game. We've got myself, got Jake along. We do have Chubb coming along very, very shortly as well. Just putting these little one to bed. So he will be here very, very shortly. But a massive show to come. I'm going to open the floor out to anyone out there as well who wants to jump on and have their say about anything. Feel free to come on down and have your say. It's obviously been a massive week. Plenty to talk about, things like that. So you're going to come on, have your say. Opening the floor and the invitation. You all want to say sort of stuff in the comments, which is fine. Letting you guys come back and actually have a say as well. Jake, finals footy today. We will start there in a second, but how good was today's game? Am I caught up in the moment, or was it dead set like one of the games we've ever seen?
No, I think today, like I said in our chat that we have, I think it reminded me of the 2015 grand final a lot. Like just that, like really honestly could have – there's not many more games that you see that are really, truly 50-50. And I think that was one of them. And I just think that it was a toss-up, could have gone either way. Yeah, and it was one of those good games in sport where you look at it and you just go like every player in both teams is putting everything they have on the line, you know. And I think by the end of, I always like to think at the end of a overtime, you like to think, well, especially in finals, if they're the next week, the team that didn't win that, they're buggered. Like you have to win that game. And I know Canberra's going to be disappointed, but it was a phenomenal game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was literally my thought. The moment that it looked like it was going into Golden Point was the fact that you need to make sure you win this football game now. You do not want to be backing up from this. We saw a lot of the players start cramping and things like that. It would have taken a lot out of them. I was massive on the Raiders as well, so it actually pained me to sort of watch it unfold because I actually think their job has become really, really hard to actually get there to the big one, at least to get there, and then to win it is another whole dimension as well. Shout out to the Broncos, though. It was a remarkable game. I said we're going to tackle that game first, but just quickly for our player of the week, or the weekend, I should say, we've gone for, and I'll put the votes up very, very shortly after this show, Nathan Cleary, Reece Walsh, or Hudson Young. If you had to pick one of those, who are you giving your player of the week to?
Look, as easy as it would be to give it to Cleary, it's got to go to Reece Walsh because, to be honest with you, like I said, Broncos were down and out. But Reece Walsh, he's come out. I know he got sent off. I understand that. But at the same time, when he came back on, he almost single-handedly won them that game. Like he probably put on the best 10 minutes of rugby league we've seen from almost anyone ever. Like it was unbelievable.
I actually agree with that. And I actually feel like to start the game as well, he was really good. He was in everything. And I think going off Hunt's performance, it's actually helped Maguire make some of the decisions he'll have to make in the next couple of weeks with Adam Reynolds, because I think Ben Hunt was pretty poor. So I think they will need Reynolds' kicking game when he is fit. But it's allowed a number of key things to happen. Let's go and talk about, I guess, some of the controversial moments. Obviously, the first one is the couple of sin binnings that happened there. Now, I think we're all okay, and we all feel like the Carrigan one was justified. That deserved a sin in the bin. That was right in your opinion, Jake?
Yeah, I had no issue with that at all.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
now, No, go on.
No, I was just going to say, like, you know, it's just contact that was dangerous. There isn't much more to say about that one. That's just a fair sin bin.
Yeah. Ryan, I answer this one for you. When do you know when Penrith play the Bulldogs next week? I am being told it is the Saturday. It's a Saturday night game. Sorry, no, it's not. It's a Sunday game. You'll be getting the Sunday day game, which I really like to see. But I'm very curious that they did that, because that means now the Raiders will have a short turnaround of a Golden Point game as well. Like, they obviously wouldn't have known about the Golden Point factor, but even just giving them now a short turnaround when they could have easily given them the 7-day, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense in my opinion, but that's the way they've gone about it. Now let's go with the other sin binnings. Now let's go with the Reece Walsh one first, which I've seen so many comments about this, and it's blown up on social media, probably rightly so. I feel like the sin binning is a fair one. There's plenty of comments saying it's. We've seen headbutts being a send off as well. I just think this day and age, there is no way in the world we're going to see send offs for that. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not too sure. But I think the sin bin was justified from Reece Walsh. Now, where I don't think it was justified at all, I don't get why Hudson Young was sin bin. Like, I continue to watch it. I continue to listen to the post-game commentary and things like that. I actually can't wrap my head around this whole decision. And I'm not going to say it cost the Raiders because they lost that themselves. They should have had that game by the scruff of the neck and just literally walked home with it, and they didn't. They allowed Walsh, who was remarkable. We'll talk about his performance shortly, to come back on the field and be remarkable. But for mine, I just think that was a very clear even up of the sin bin situation. And we're sending one, let's send the other. And Jake, in a finals game, just in general, that you can't be officiating games anymore like that. You can't be evening up games for the sake of it. Hudson Young literally did nothing wrong. He just cheered the fact that there was a big hit and hang on, Hudson Young got sin bin for throwing a punch. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He didn't do that at all. No, he didn't. Sorry to say, but that's definitely not what he got sin bin for. He got sin bin for carrying on in the face. Go back and listen to it. So that was just absolutely shocking. I just can't justify, Jake, the fact that Ashley Klein and then the bunker literally have time to make this decision, and they literally come back doing this as their full-time job, and they can sit there and justify Hudson Young being sent to the sin bin.
Yeah, look, so first of all, before I say what I have to say on this, I think that it should not have been a sin bin. So I'm going to kick that off just to say that in the first place. I've looked back on it now a few times, and my only main thing, so the reason Klein gave was because he took it out of the ref's hand. Apparently he took, like, Hudson Young took it out of the ref's hands to, like, stop a brawl or fight or something. It was a weird way he, like, put it. I didn't like the way that Klein put it. But my main thing was that Hudson, if he didn't touch Reece, unfortunately, when he got his face in his face and was yelling at him, which is totally fine, like, you know what, go at him. The issue is he actually did make contact. He did make physical contact. While it wasn't much, he actually touched him, which I can understand then the reason that, like, Reece Walsh, while Reece Walsh overreacted and that's on him, he's obviously not going to sit there and take that either. So I can kind of, and I only mean this in like maybe a 70-30 split, I can kind of see a little bit where that's come from, because it's not as if Reece has done that completely out of, like, Reece didn't start it out of nothing. It didn't come from nowhere. Like, it had to come from something that's happened to him. And look, I'm not a fan of Reece Walsh personally, so you know what? This isn't me defending him. I just can kind of see both ways. Like, because Hudson's face was like right in his ear when he was doing this. It wasn't like he was yelling at him from 5-10 meters away and he's run in. He was in his face. So I can kind of justify a little bit that send off in that regard.
It's opened up a massive can of worms then, because we just seen last night Mulatalo, who is the king of it. He did it to Marky Mark a number of times, where he's in his face celebrating key moments, which I love. I love the passion from players. Don't get me wrong, but you can't be sin-binning blokes for that. Like, that's a clear sign for mine to get Reece Walsh off his game. And the Raiders, Hudson Young did it. Literally got what probably they set out to achieve, didn't do it with any physicality at all, and Reece Walsh snapped and should have been the moment where he cost his team the game. Well, I just don't get it. I really don't, and it really frustrates me, the fact that we're in a finals game. Everyone says it always gets officiated differently, things like that. To then get a sin bin for that, call it as it is. It's soft. It is probably the softest sin binning I've ever seen.
Which is exactly why I wouldn't go that far. It's not the softest I've ever seen, but there's been softer.
He didn't do anything.
What I'm trying to say is, I said to you before, I agree he shouldn't have been binned. Like, it's taking away from what rugby league is, and that sort of get in their face mentality. I love that. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that because his face actually made like, I don't mind the passion, and get up him, give it to him 100%. But his face was touching Reece Walsh's face. They were face, like, contact was being made. So I get, that's the only part of that I can get. Other than that, I'm like, you know what? You give him an earful. Like old school footy, rub his face in the dirt, like that sort of thing is like that's what we should be doing. I love that. I'm not actually advocating for a send off here. I'm just trying to. I can kind of see both
But what
sides,
about
but
the
I'm also
players that give the other one a tap on the head when they make mistakes and stuff? That's worse. That's literally contact. You're saying they're basically kissed, and that's what got Hudson Young and sin bin, which is ridiculous.
yeah. I don't know. It's like you said as well though. It's finals footy, so for me in that I'm like that's where it should clients should be like right. Passions are a bit high. That's all it should be. But I don't know. It's just a difficult one because like again, my whole point is if his face wasn't touching his face, we go from there. That's the contact. Like when they pat him on the head because they made a mistake and stuff like that, depends on what the reaction is to them. What happens, I suppose.
David, apparently he called Walsh a weak underdog. Nah, Walsh was joking about that in the presser in an interview, so that was quality. But no, he didn't in the end. So that was a bit of fun. Just on Klein's performance while we are there, I just think he was pretty poor tonight. I just don't know, and like I hope this isn't the presence of him getting all the big games and that moving forward because I think out of all the games refereed this weekend, that was probably the worst one. I think he got a couple of moments completely wrong. And I just think he's in over his head. And I'm just over him getting promoted when it's clear to 90% of NRL fans out there, take away the ones that were part of this game tonight because they'll obviously have their biased views about things, but or their passionate views, I should say. But he's just not up to it, Jake. Like it just feels very much like he's just not up to it.
We are definitely on the same page with this one. Of the 4 games, like you said, of the 4 games that were refereed this weekend, Ashley Kleins was easily the worst, like the one where you had the most noticeable mistakes. The other 3, the whistle was majority, like it was put away a fair bit of it, other than the Panthers Warriors game. But we'll talk about that soon. But to be fair, like Panthers were trying to gain advantage, and the ref wasn't letting that happen, which is totally fair. That's why you blow the whistle. That's why you have it. Klein, like that first, I'll reference one here, the one on Starling, where he's had his second tackle of the game. He's made a perfect scoot because the Broncos rushing defense. He's taken a scoot early to try to go behind them, and he's done really well. He actually played the ball and then fell. So he's played the ball first. He's rolled under his foot. He's made an attempt at striking it and then fallen over. And Ashley Klein's called it. And then the Broncos score the next set. So you're looking at immediately that's changing momentum of the game that the teams don't get to have any say in. And I just think, well, they do. I mean, they could have challenged it, but it's the first or second tackle of the game. Like that's a huge balls movement, and they shouldn't have had to be in that position to do that. So, God, I hope he doesn't referee another grand final ever again. I think he's the worst ref in the game.
Me too. I feel like let's tackle the Broncos first, and I just want to talk about that moment post the sin bin, because it's potentially some of the best rugby league I've ever seen. Reece Walsh came back here on man clearly possessed, knew that he stuffed up, wanted to make amends for it, which he certainly did. That was, like I said, I'm trying to look quickly how much time it was. I'm guessing it was about a 20 or so minute stint that he had when he came back on. And that was, Jake, some of, like I said, the best game, like the best footy I've seen. And I haven't always been the biggest Reece Walsh fan. I'll put my hand up and say that. But what I can admire is the form he's in at the moment. He's, for mine, the best player in the game currently, form-wise. He's just sensational. And there's not many players apart from probably a guy called Nathan Cleary who could probably go and do what he just did tonight. I think we all just was able to sit back for a moment. I know the game was absolutely massive. It just had so many moments and things happening all over the shop. 2 chances that the Raiders had of winning it, things like that. But when you sit back and just look at the Reece Walsh performance, like I said, even before that, at the start of the game, I thought he was really, really good. I thought this whole him having to step up and do everything would really affect his game, but literally from the moment it's happened, he's just gone to another level, and now into the finals, he's gone to a level again.
Yeah, I think he loves it. I like personally, I think he loves the idea that he's like the main guy, and it's something that I don't like about him, but it's something that he's thriving on right now, and I think he thrives on adversity. So my big thing was when he went off, you saw there was like 3 Canberra Raiders fans, and they were above him, and they were like recording him and in his face, and he's given up. He's done this. I don't know what the go is there, but he's done that as he's walked out. And I just thought to myself there, I was like, when he comes back, he's gonna want to show it. And when I don't think it was him that actually. Can't remember. Was it him that scored the first one when they came back on? It was, wasn't it? And he came back on. He scored straight away, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm confident he did.
Yes, yeah, he scored straight away. 65th minute.
So when he came back on and he scored that try, the way he got up and ran, he didn't celebrate it. He sort of celebrated it. He sprinted back, got ready to kick. Like he was honed. You could just tell when a player is like really locked in and zoned in, and he was that. The 2 40-20s he kicked. In general, I know the first one was fantastic. It was really narrow. It was a really nice kick. The second one was after he came back on. He'd already scored a try. He's kicked this like beautiful kick when no one's ready for it. He just was looking. It was like he was on another playing field compared to everyone else. Yeah. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
seriously, it was
40-20s. Yeah. He just was absolutely.
How many tries? You know.
He had, I think he had 3. Let me double check that right now. I've got it.
I will say there was one there where it was on the left hand side because they scored like 3 of them on the left hand side.
2 and then 1 try.
Okay. Well, the one that he gave to either he gave it or he passed it to someone and he gave across to the winger Karapani to score. To be fair, I'll give fair credit to Karapani that he scored it, but Jed Stewart was out of position and it was a real narrow line. He didn't need to be that far in. Like he actually. Yeah. In my opinion, Jed Stewart let one go there that they could have stopped.
Yeah. I was very confused and shocked. We've got the big man coming back on now. Here we go. Welcome, Trav.
Here he is.
Welcome, mate.
Hello. Sorry about that.
Nah, you're right. You're right. We'll get you straight off the run up. Firstly, I'll give you our. What was that? Sorry.
Set off the back fence.
Off the back fence. Take a hit up for us. What are your thoughts around the controversial sin binnings? The Reece Walsh one, the Hudson Young square up, and then the Paddy Carrigan high shot.
Geez, you've put me in the hot fire on the coals as soon as I walk in. No time to warm up in these views. Parrish and Carrigan, absolutely agree. Strolled straight to the face. Fine with that. Reece Walsh, I actually feel like should have been a sent-off. I think the history suggests that a headbutt is an automatic send-off. So actually the rules even say that. So I have, he got sin bin. So at least he went off. The Hudson Young one's a joke. Hudson Young getting binned for that is an absolute disgrace. But I said to you a few weeks ago when the Storm copped that penalty for Grant Anderson tapping the dude on the head, and when I came on the podcast, I said there's a precedent's been set here, and that's kind of that one. Like Hudson Young goes up to him, but all he did was just chest bump him, like he didn't really do anything, and he gets sin bin for that. I think's a joke. So yeah, initially straight up, I think that's pathetic. I think that was an absolute disgrace.
Strong hit up, mate. Very strong hit up. I can't send off. Honestly, we have seen headbutts send off in the past. So going off what has been done.
It's an automatic. It's in the rule. It says straight away headbutt, automatic sin bin.
The only one I can remember, I can't remember anyone from any specific games except for the 2009 headbutt, like Jared Hayne one, and I don't think he got sent off.
Slater. No, he got sin bin and then came back on there, just kept firing up. I was at that game. That was an awesome game to bet, actually. That was on fire. That stadium was rocking. And I think there's only about 9,000 of us there. So that was brilliant. I'll put the links up below, above as well, guys. So if you do want to join, click the links, come on down, have your say about anything, please. Lots of comments this week on everything. Let's see if you guys come on and have some nice debates. A few of you have reached out to and said, come on the show. You've all said yes over the last couple of days. Let's see if you do so. Let's talk one more thing about the Broncos. I think Ben Hunt's performance was pretty bad. I think he's very lucky that the Broncos won that game, because I think which is normally his strong point, his game management was putrid. I think he was very lucky to have Reece Walsh there, and his kicking game in general was not good. He didn't pack his kicking boots today. Reece Walsh saved him on a number of occasions. He saved a lot of that Broncos team in that ridiculous stint that he had. But I think it's made the decision to bring Reynolds back when he does a lot easier. Reynolds will walk straight back in that side in 2 weeks' time at Suncorp. It'll be packed. Cannot wait for it. Jake, what were your thoughts around the Ben Hunt performance?
Oh, look, to be honest with you, like you just said, the game management wasn't necessarily the best. I didn't think his service and stuff was too bad. So my sort of thoughts are, is he going to play that 5'8" role because Reynolds, like you said, Reynolds will walk back in. I'm more concerned about will he play when he comes back. He slotted the field goal. I mean, I understand it hit the right post, but he did clutch up when it sort of mattered. But you wouldn't be contributing the win other than that one moment. You wouldn't really be contributing the win too highly to him. No. The main question, I suppose, like I said, back for your question is, do I think he's going to play 6 when Reynolds is back? And I think that he will do that. But then what happens to Walters?
What happens with Mam as well? Apparently he's very close to being back. I reckon he might play come that big final. So that could be massive. Do you have anything else to add on the Ben Hunt stuff? Trav, it felt like it was like a week ago we had that chat about, at the moment, you can't really change things, but not going off the Walsh forms because he was, again, unreal, but their halves just, I think Billy Walters was great. He did exactly what he needed to do. I just think Ben Hunt in that 7 just wasn't quite it, and I don't think they can go into a game to get into the grand final with that uncertainty at 7.
Ben Hunt didn't play well tonight or this afternoon, but to be fair, he's been pretty good the last 4 or 5 weeks. So I don't have you're allowed to have a bad one, and I don't think he was. Yeah. I don't think he was bad. I just think he had a bit of an off one, but he wasn't necessarily bad. I think Jake said right. His service was pretty good. Game management probably wasn't ideal, but he didn't really need to. Like it was really on the big boys and Walsh. Like today was one of those games, and it has been like that for a while. But yeah, I'm not going to call this one an off game based off what I'd seen the last 4 or 5 weeks and say that Ben Hunt's in trouble here. I think he's fine. To be fair, I reckon Carrigan's probably gonna be suspended a week, and I reckon Reece Walsh might be pretty lucky if he's playing again too. So in that prelim, so it might be interesting to see what happens. Anyways,
you stole my last question, which you've already answered, Jake. What are you thinking? Do you reckon there's some suspensions coming Walsh and Carrigan's way? I personally think Carrigan has to. I think that's a suspension every day of the week. The Walsh one, I think they'll take into account that he's already had a sin bin. Which they shouldn't. I think it should warrant a sin bin. A headbutt just should be out of our game. There's no time or place for that. I can just see the way they'll market this game. They need Reece Walsh to play, and I think he'll be playing.
I reckon they'll both go. I reckon, he can't get away with just blatantly headbutting someone. It was very obvious that he's done it, so I think he can't get away with that. That would be, at least a 3 week to 2 or 3 weeks, especially, and they might downgrade it potentially, but I don't think he's getting away with nothing.
No, 100%.
I'm definitely not salty. I love that the Broncos won this game. I think it's great. I tipped the Raiders, but I certainly love that the Broncos won.
I don't know what we're salty about.
Yeah,
it's on our team.
And the way they've gone about it, I think the way that they went about that, to come back from 28-12, and I'm sorry, I missed the first 20 minutes of the podcast, so I apologize if I've covered things, but if you guys have covered it, but 28-12 down. They were 28-12 down, and not only that, they had to score 4 times because Walsh missed field goals. So, to be fair, that they did it the hard way. Not to mention they had 2 men down. Yes, they should have been 2 men down, but they had 2 men down. Raiders had 1, but they had 2 men down. So I have 0 problems with this and feel like the way that they played and what they did was unreal. I loved it. I loved that they went to the Raiders, went to Canberra and won that game.
Yeah. On the Raiders, I do feel a bit for them. They won that game twice tonight, and they're coming away with a loss, and they've got to back up now next week, which me and Jake have already spoken about and said it's going to be an extremely tough task. Whoever lost that game tonight was always going to be up against it, backing up short turnaround into next week's game, playing 90-odd minutes where players cramping up, things like that. It's going to be a tough tough ask. What did you make of their performance today? It was obviously they had the Hosking issue right at the end. Unfortunately, made contact with Walsh, which is the right decision. We've seen it penalised all year, so they were solid with that. Interesting enough, and I think shout out to Clarkie's page. I've seen him make this post about it, but the referee actually signalled originally time off, like the end of the game, and then came back to it, which I'm interested to see what happens there, because I was always under the belief once the referee has that second whistle, it's literally just the game is over. If something's happened, it's unlucky, it's been missed, where the referee should have actually held off blowing that second whistle, which would have saved face for that. He felt very quick to end that game, which I'm very interested to see what the NRL have to say about that.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, Jake.
No, you're right.
But I said when it first happened at that point in time, I was like, the game's over. Like, he's called it. So how are they going back? And then I wondered, did the Broncos challenge? Is that why it went back? But they didn't challenge. So
out of challenges.
So the game, yeah. So that's so then I went, well, hang on a second. How do they go back? Like, the bunkers, there's nothing here. And a few weeks ago, didn't Volandis 10 weeks ago say that the bunker is not going to overrule anything unless it's, basically a send off? So how do they go back and even rule on this? Like, that to me was there's something seriously fishy about that. And I didn't like it at the time.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened there, Jake.
I was watching. I didn't hear the whistle, but to be fair, I wasn't like, I just assumed it was over, so maybe I didn't pay too much attention to it at the time. If he did blow the whistle, I know it sounds. If it's in the rules, then it's not okay. I don't mind. Like, if they blow, I know it sounds silly, but I don't mind if they've blown it and then there's something clearly wrong that they go back. It's like, what's just happened? Like, I don't know. I'd be livid if it was like against Para, for example. Like, I'd be livid. I'd be sitting there. I'd be freaking out. But it's such a difficult one, because it's like it is a finals game, and if there was something wrong, you'd want it to be refereed fairly at the time. So I'm okay with the way it turned out personally. Like, I'm sitting here going, I'm okay with the way it turned out. I'm not freaking out about it as a neutral.
Yeah, on the like we said, on the Hosking one, it was a penalty. Unfortunately for him, so I'm very keen to see what happens over the next 24 hours, because I reckon they will have to make a comment about that, the NRL, and justify what actually happened there, because there was definitely a second time where the whistle went twice, which signifies the end of the game. The second time was the Jed Stewart back or forward, however you guys have seen it, into the Fogarty try, which was again ruled by the bunker as a no try. How does this one sit with you two? Did you think that was a try, or did you think the right decision was made?
The right decision was made on that one. He definitely touched it. It went forward. I personally don't think there's much to discuss on that one. That's been called that way all year.
Trav?
Yeah, and like, he had the action that was the swinging arm. He brought it back. He was able to get through, but unfortunately the ball's brushed it. Like, he didn't get any action with it. The ball's brushed him. It's gone and hit Chris in the head. And then that's how the ball gets back, because it hits him in the head, shoulder, and pushes back. It's not because of Stewart's. As much as I wanted that to happen, that was
100%.
There was a couple of moments this weekend where players sold things very well.
Yes,
stick with us, because I have something else to say about that on another game, which could get heated. But it happened all weekend. There was a couple of really big moments. So look, guys, again, the link was there. I'll keep resending it. If there is people out there that want to come on, just chat some rugby league, chat your thoughts about anything. Could be about, hey, that dreaded list of our player of the year. It could be about top 5. It could be games this weekend. What happened? Come and have your say. Everyone is welcome. We'll get you on, have you on for 5-10 minutes, chat, debate, whatever you want to do, and then we'll go from there. So links are there. Lastly, are you guys now worried about the Raiders? I had them in the grand finals win the comp. I've definitely backtracked after that now because of what's going to happen. I actually feel like they're really on the ropes now, and I just can't see them. I'm not that impressed with the Sharkies, I must say, but at the same time, they had a much better game, and they'll have that extra day. They haven't had what the Raiders have just had. I really like what the Sharks. The Sharks will come into next week really favouring themselves. Where are you at with the Dragons, guys?
with the
The
Dragons.
Dragons.
Sorry, not the Dragons, the Raiders.
Yeah, I reckon they're doing pretty good over
I was
in
like, did I
Bali.
switch off the last 2 minutes? And then
Yeah.
I reckon Bali. Yeah, they're enjoying Bali. They'd be getting on it.
The Raiders, where am I at? I actually think, look, to be fair, if there was going to be a team that wanted to play next weekend, well, that could back up and play next weekend to the Raiders. It'll be Saturday. It'll be a Saturday night, won't it? So they won't make them play on the Friday night. They won't make them play Sunday. So it'll be a Friday night, Saturday night, won't it? I'm pretty sure the NRL has kind of said something that's what it was going to be either way.
Sunday.
According to the NRL
Saturday,
app,
Sunday
Bulldogs and Panthers are playing Saturday and Sunday. According to the
yeah.
NRL.com website, they're both.
I did see that.
Chamis
Yeah.
reported this afternoon that it's going to be the Raiders against the Sharks on the Saturday, and then the Sunday would be the Dogs versus Penrith.
Interesting, isn't it? Interesting. Well, I mean, the Raiders are at home, right? So they're able to go back. They're in their own beds tonight. They've got the chance to recover. They're not on a flight. They don't have to muck around with that. So, I think the Raiders should be able to back up. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It was tough, but yeah, they should be right.
Jake, final say on this.
Yeah, I'm sitting. Yeah, I think Raiders will get the Sharks. Sharks. I was thinking while I was watching the Sharks Roosters game, which I know we're going to touch on, but whichever of those teams won that game was going to be fodder for the next team that they versed. So, neither of those teams impressed me.
It was probably
the
worst finals game of the weekend. But there was a bit of tough moments there as well. We'll talk about that, and I actually have a bit of something to say. Now let's backtrack. Now let's go to Friday night. There's a happy man on this panel because his beloved Storm just scraped through against the Bulldogs. And we've had some chats about this, so this isn't going to surprise Trav. He's actually said a little bit similar to this one. But what I feel like, and I actually feel like the Storm didn't play that well. I was actually really impressed by the Bulldogs in this game, and they obviously copped a shitload. They had injuries galore. If you told me there was a game in the finals where the Dogs lose Crichton for over half the game, I would have literally said the Dogs are no chance. They would lose by 20-plus points, whoever it was in the final series they were versing. To do what they did in this game, I actually was really impressed by Toby Sexton when he came on and the organisation that he actually gave the Bulldogs outfit. Again, not going to hate the guy, trying not to do too much against him, but Galvin, I thought, went missing a fair bit in this game, and it was thanks to Sexton's organisation that they were able to do a lot of what they did, the Bulldogs. So let's go to Trevor. I'll throw to you first as a Storm supporter. Let's focus on, first of all, let me know what your thoughts are for the game in general.
Just a general game. We were lucky to get away with the win, but as I said to you in the message, and I'll say it now, is we just had to win. It was just one of those games. We just had to win, and however we did it, it didn't matter. And I wasn't going to walk out of it and think, we're in trouble for the rest of the finals. I literally just had to go and get it done. That was it. I thought the Bulldogs were gallant in defeat, to be fair. To lose, it was Tuala they lost for the calf. I can't believe Kickow came back, but to even then, he did come back. And then to play through a fractured face that's just a gallant effort. Crichton, I've got so much admiration for because that was a syndesmosis, and I know what that feels like. It freaking hurts. And he went and played another 10, 15 minutes and didn't, he was hobbling, but still did it, and then had to, sacrifice and come off. It was a really gallant effort from the Bulldogs, and they should be pretty proud of that. You're right. Galvin, unfortunately, is a bit of a scapegoat here, but the thing is, Sexton actually turned, when he came on, his first possession turned into a try. His first touch of the bang off the knee was a try. And then just the way he set that team up and the way they played just was unreal. And he really just showed everybody the mistakes they made by pushing him out. And I had to laugh during the game because, the constant conversation was that Serraldo had said that Sexton was going to come on and he's trained for minutes at hooker. And I just laughed at that. I just thought that was hilarious. And then to see what he's then gone and done, put in the halves. The Bulldogs just looked, I think he's just put, he's just put everybody in on notice and said, well, you've all made a monumental stuff up and you've cost us a premiership.
Jake, thoughts on the game?
I thought the game was fantastic. Probably my favorite games to watch are those ones where it's try for try, and up until the end, you just don't quite know. Like, there's always points left. You always think that there's going to be points left sitting there, and that's kind of how I felt this go. Even up until the end, like you said, Trav, that the Bulldogs were fighting pretty valiantly. Like, sort of going towards the end of it, they just started dropping like flies, and then you kind of like, can they see it out? But they still just managed to keep finding points like throughout the back half of that, and you're just like, yeah, it was a close game. It was a really, really game. I'm sitting there watching. When I was watching it, I was sitting there going, "This will be game of the round for sure." There's no game that's going to top this. And then the next game after that probably didn't beat it, but it was up there. And then the last game we just watched was probably the best game we've ever seen. So,
yeah, unreal. So, let's
final.
go to the Bulldogs side of things first. So you guys obviously said it, that Will Warbrick intercept at the end there just really broke their hearts. They were right in there. They were so valiant in this performance. I thought the kick-out one, that was a big loss. It was going to be a big loss moving forward, but according to Gus, he will be playing next week. So that's going to be insane, him coming back. I'm guessing he's going to have one of those headgear things on it that they have now where he can sort of protect the eye and things like that. So that'd be massive. I actually thought they looked quite good with Burton at centre. So I don't mind them going into next week with and I've actually heard today, I don't know if everyone else probably has off the NRL injury page, that the fact that Sexton might be out. He's getting some scans at the moment regarding a potential injury. That could be huge, because I was looking forward to seeing Sexton at halfback this weekend, and then have probably Galvin at 5'8", Burton into the centres to cover for Crichton. I think makes them still a reasonably good outfit against that Penrith Panthers side. But yeah, it really impressed me. Burton was able to still get his kicks away and present that side of things, which I think was key. And we've seen him before. He's played in a grand final, won a grand final at centre, so he clearly knows what to do. I actually think Burton was one of their better players in this game, which normally if you say he's going to centre, you probably cringe a bit going, oh, this isn't going to be good for the Bulldogs. But it worked itself out, it seemed. Jake.
Yeah, overall, like Trav was saying, I don't want to pile on to what his comments were, but I agree, and I've agreed the whole time that dropping Sexton was the wrong call. But having that ability and having that kind of versatility to be able to go, righto, here we go, that's an easy solution. Burton go across into the centers. Here comes Sexton. We'll be right from here. What I found that they did really well with Burton in that game was he didn't just take himself out of it and shy away. He'd pop back in and do the bombs. Not the whole time, but he was doing a lot of the kicking, sort of attacking, kicking and stuff like that from center. He just shift himself in and bomb it up and then kind of push himself back across, which is the perfect way to use him, to be honest with you. He can easily play that center role. If they did have the two halves, you'd be playing, Sexton, if he's not injured. I reckon, personally, you'd just be playing them, put Burton to the side 100%, and then just find another 14. My big issue, personally, of all of this is Reid Marnie has to start. Reid Marnie has to be starting that team if they want to progress in the finals. I know that it's been talked about, but just he's the best hooker at the club, and you play your best hooker. You play your best player in any position. I just can't get behind it. I hate it personally that he's not being played. You're
absolutely spot on. And a big part of that would be, in my opinion, the Dogs had 61 missed tackles the other night, which is a lot. And surprisingly, and we'll talk about the Storm shortly, but if you're a team and you give the Melbourne Storm 61 missed tackles to play against, normally they just absolutely tear you apart. But Hayward actually had 15 missed tackles, and that's huge from an individual in the middle. And also, and not to rub this in too much, but to double down on what you're saying, Joe, because I 100% agree. I don't think his service was that good at all. I actually feel like he impacted their momentum a number of times throughout the game, which got him back sort of on the back foot where there was, if it was Marnie, he just gets a pass out like he does. There's every chance we're talking right now a completely different game and result, how it actually panned out. It goes back to it, and I feel like we've said it that many times. I just don't get why they're jeopardizing and almost self-sabotaging this season for the benefit of next year. Like, who cares about next year? Like, you're just showing everyone that you've actually got a really good chance this year. You've got a really good side who love to play that gritty style, which is finals football. It suits them down to a T. Sexton at 7, Marnie at 9. You go out and you can probably beat most teams in this top 8 system. And the team you probably would have struggled against the most, you would have probably beaten on the weekend with that pairing. So I love what Bailey Hayward does. I love him as a player. I think he's a really good player. But what he does best and how he's played his best football so far is coming off the bench when opposition packs are tired. He gets in and around the ruck and things like that. He causes mayhem. Keep him to that for now. That's what works for the Bulldogs side. I just don't get it, Trav. I don't get it because I reckon from your point of view, you're watching that game from a Melbourne Storm point of view thinking, holy crap, I'm glad Bailey Hayward's at 9 right now. And that's trying not to be disrespectful. I'm just trying to call what I've sort of seen, but it would have been a different story, I reckon.
Yeah, look, you took my stats off me. I've literally got it written on my phone. Bailey Hayward, he was gassed 80 minutes, man. He can't play 80 minutes. It's as simple as that. And then to do that, he only had 2 runs. Now, you're telling me just before, what you've just said on the thing is, what does Bailey Hayward, what's he good at? He's actually a good runner. He is a really good runner. When you're at hooker and you're only running twice and then you miss 15 tackles, what does it tell you? It tells you that you're not a hooker or you're not a very good one. And you're playing in the wrong position. He's a 14. He could even be a 13 to be fair. But yeah, he's definitely not their hooker. And Reed Marnie would miss 15 tackles. And if he does, it's not going to cost you, right? Whereas those tackles that Hayward had absolutely cost them. We're spending a lot of time on that, on that and on him. And unfortunately, we've spoken a lot of negatives, but I really I want to give some props to the Bulldogs because I thought that they turned up and played really well. And the scoreline didn't prove what it was. It was only a Warbrick breakaway at the end there that was the dagger in the back. Like, otherwise, I thought the Bulldogs were really good.
Absolutely.
But can I just say quickly, sorry, Joel, watching that game as a Storm supporter and watching how Sexton and also Galvin had to reset the line and reset after Hayward touched it every single time as a Bulldogs fan, would do my head in. Like, to see what he was doing and the poor passes out of the play of the ball that he was setting up and the way that he was playing. And then the amount of times I'm sitting there, I could sit there and see Sexton trying to tell everyone where to go and how to reset. That would do my head in.
Yeah, and you're spot on, and I'll echo it again before we move on from the Dogs, but they were really good on the weekend. That was such a brave performance, probably their bravest of the year, and they've had many, many performances like it. It's definitely not a performance where if you're a Dogs fan, you're sitting back really worried coming into this week. I know it's against a dreaded opponent who just seems to be rising to the occasion this time of year once again, but this is probably the best you've played for a long time, and if there's a time you can do it, yes, I know you've got no Crichton, which is huge. But it is now. I think you come into this game with a lot of positive thoughts regarding how you are actually playing as an outfit at the moment, going off that Melbourne Storm side. And talking about that Melbourne Storm side, I'll go to the controversial part first. This hip drop tackle that wasn't penalised, that many are trying to say is a hip drop tackle. Munster's performance from post this hip drop, like a fish out of water, sort of flapping around and things like that, made me giggle a lot on the couch. So I was laughing at that part of it. What do we think? Was it a hip drop or wasn't it not a hip drop? Jake, I'll let you have first swing at this one.
Oh, I'm trying to remember which one you're talking about. Like, I'm trying to remember who tackled.
Was there more?
Who tackled who in this one? Sorry?
Was there more?
Salmon.
It was Salmon on Munster towards the end. It was like, what was it, about 5 minutes to go or something?
God, I actually can't even remember this one. You might have to skip me on this one. Hold on.
Munster rolling around on the ground and stuff.
Oh, when he went down and he flopped like a fish. Yeah, okay, I'm with you now. Yeah, I remember now.
Yeah.
I don't remember the tackle. I don't remember the tackle though. I don't remember the tackle though, so I can't help you on that. Sorry. I can't remember if I need to look it up. You go to Trav. I'll look it up.
Oh, Trav.
Look, the NRL
come out.
the NRL have come out and said it wasn't, and so he's had nothing to stand for at the judiciary. I disagree. I think that is, and by the tail of the law, that is actually a hip drop. He's gone over his foot. He's dropped. Yes, okay. There was a slight trip from his own teammate that caused it, but to me that is. And if you have a look at across the season, they've been adjudicated as hip drop, unless it's Munster or even Grant Anderson's one that happened a couple of weeks ago. That wasn't a hip drop either. So to me, that is. But look, I'm not going to get too up in arms about it because I don't think it really costs much, and Munster's not injured. So I'm not too phased by it.
So we were watching the World Cup for a while there, the FIFA World Cup, when he was on the ground. So I was extremely concerned.
He definitely sold it. I think that still hurts. Like a dude rolls over, his foot did twist. It did bend a bit. Like that would hurt. But yeah,
he scared him more than anything.
Yeah, I think so. But he definitely sold it more than that. But yeah,
I don't think it was a hip drop. I've seen it a few times, and I think how quick that play unfolded and what was happening was sort of like a dive sort of tackle that did end up resulting in what felt like that sort of maybe hip drop movement. But thanks, Jake. You're back now.
I'm back. That is not a hip drop. Absolutely not. That's definitely not a hip drop. I just watched it fresh, 100%. Like he's done the diving motion, like you were just saying, Joel. He's just done a diving motion to the back of his legs, and it was almost one-on-one with him, which to me that's like he's allowed to attack. He's even cannonball into the back of his legs, but he did. I think it's fine. I think injuries happen, and I think we always get into the trap of a player got injured, so therefore the tackle has to have been dirty. No, that's just not how it works.
Yeah, I feel like we're starting to slip into a little bit of, with hip drops, we're forgetting that the original hip drop was them literally having the player and then they drop down onto the player's leg, and that's the hip drop, where we're sort of taking away, like there's players who will dive and grab players and do those sort of tackles and that, where it does fall into like the players, or they fall onto the player's ankle, but it's not like a hip drop classic movement. It just ends up being an unfortunate injury or potential injury to the player, if that's what it is. Like there is still in this game going to be moments where it is unfortunate. Now, I felt like that may have been one of those unfortunate moments. Trav, just on the Storm though, I think in general, and that's taken away a little bit, credit to a couple of your players there. I thought Pezzett was fantastic. I thought he did a lot of good things, but I was also a bit worried about your game plan at times. It felt like there was this whole, almost on purpose, they tried to do anything but kick over to Coates, which I was very, very confused about. It's been like a cheat code for so long now. I don't get why come finals time you sort of try and go away from it. Like that's an awesome thing to do. Actually just keep hammering that. Like it works for you so many times. But I was a little bit confused by it at times, and I'm not too sure how you felt, but just the game plan and how it unfolded for you guys.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll start with this. I thought Pezzett was man of the match, and I'll be very, very clear with that. He was man of the match. I thought Warbrick was a beast out on the wing, 294 meters. I thought he did a really, really good job. He had a couple of key drops, but look, to be fair, if we go along the whole weekend of wingers, there was a few drops. I thought Stefano was fantastic in the middle. And
his second stint was unreal.
It was absolutely, yep. But even then, his first stint was good. I thought Harry Grant led us really well. He didn't have that dominating Harry Grant that we all predicted he would, but he shored us up in defense. He had good ball. He didn't scoop and go as much as I'd like to see, but I think the game, sort of the way that the Bulldogs defended the middle, and particularly him, was really good. So I give him credit. And I thought, and obviously Munster, I don't think Munster had a Munster-like game and that we were hoping for, but his leadership and what he did was great. And then when he had to go and sit down at fullback because the Meany HIA, I actually thought he did a really good job, but it wasn't the Munster game that we were hoping for. And I'm going to put it down to this. And I said, this is why I started with this positive first. I didn't like our game plan at all. Pezzett, and I think it was based off the way Pezzett played as the halfback. It was so we were just disjointed. We didn't get much. We didn't get any real. Like it just didn't look like we were getting real go ahead. We didn't break the lines as much as we can and have. We were in poor positions, and a lot of the time, like you're saying, we didn't kick to Coates, and there was like 3 or 4 times where I looked at Pezzett and then was like, "Yep, here's the kick," and then he grubs it into the end line instead of kicks it on top of his head, and I'm just. And it was just the way that we played and where we were. It just seemed really odd. And I actually put it down to the fact that I don't like the way Pezzett game managed us. I don't like the way Pezzett. There was a whole heap of poor passes off Pezzett in attack. But I do want to give him some credit. His kicking was immense. And that really helped. That kick game really helped us because it just kept pegging the Bulldogs back. It like really did. He was getting 60, 70 meters on his kicks. It was unreal and just pegging them right back. And they were on a dime. Like they were in the 10, like they were in the 5 even. Like a lot of the time the wingers couldn't even put their foot in the try line to try and get the 7 tackle set. Like he just perfectly put it. It was only that one kick he stuffed up, which was because the push from, I think it was Curran. That 40-20 he got was awesome. I thought that was really good. His kicking game was fantastic, but just his game management just really set it. And I think that was why we were so stagnant in offense was because of Pezzett. But yeah, I preface the fact that I think he was best on, but yeah, just what you've asked the question around our game plan and our game style, and I think it was because of him.
Jake, anything else to add on that Storm performance and what you were thinking of it?
Not really. To be honest with you, I thought that they were good. I just thought that the Bulldogs just brought their game as well. Like Bulldogs can play a bit of a disrupting style game when they're on their best, and I think they just did that again. To be honest with you, like I would argue that if you had that same lineup of Storm against most other competition teams, other than maybe Panthers, Raiders, etc., like you'd be looking at a similar type of game which is what Storm excels at. They excel at winning games that are tight. They also excel at flogging teams. So there's not much they're not good at, to be completely honest with you. But they excel at winning those tight games, and they're practiced at it. And so I think that they were just sitting there. They were being calm and confident. I don't think they were like screaming for points. In terms of not going to Coates, I don't know why you're not going to try that at least 3 times throughout the game, maybe 4, but they won. So what are you going to say?
They're good. And I think the reaction from Bellamy at the end where he was like laughing has probably scared the shit out of everyone else because he never does that. So the fact he's laughing after that, probably thinking to himself, we didn't play well at all tonight and we're going to have a week off now. We're going to potentially get 2 of our superstars back to get into a grand final at Melbourne. I am loving life right now. So he probably went home and had a cigar and just chilled in his spa for about 4 hours and just thought how good's life. So well done.
Much needed.
Well done to the Storm. The Warriors versus Penrith. This was the first of the elimination games. Unfortunately, it has meant the Warriors season has come to a close. Really feel for them. Like we've said it before, and we'll say it in our preview, season review stories, that they've just been obviously hurt by injuries too much. They're just a couple of injuries too many for them in the end, and they just couldn't go. They put up a hell of a fight. They went with Penrith for as long as they could, and then I'll talk a bit more about Penrith down the track and how I just almost idolized the game of Nathan Cleary on the weekend. I actually really was impressed by his game management style and how he went about it. I don't think many people would probably pick up on just how clinical he was yesterday. It was actually a phenomenal performance. To start the game, I want to talk about something a little bit controversial where it comes to how the game started for the first 15 to 20 minutes. Now, we've got a few chats and I've seen online and things like that. A few people were quite critical of the refereeing at the start and being too whistle happy. I actually feel like on the other side of the fence that he was only reacting to what both teams are trying to push the envelope too far on. And I actually sort of applaud the fact that he didn't let it just happen and let these teams get away with basically murder in the ruck. He actually got onto the front foot with it, which actually helped the game get cleaned up a bit and it started to unfold the way it did. But Jake, I think you were along sort of the lines there as well yesterday, talking to you a couple of times. But I actually was happy that the referee did stand up and say, hey, I'm not going to allow this. We're going to get this back to a football game and not a wrestling match.
There is a difference between oh, it's a finals game, let's put the whistle away a little bit and, let the game flow, and blatantly allowing teams to get away with things. The main difference being that, there's always teams that are better at getting away with stuff than others. And I think that a referee's job is to sort of discern a little bit what is people trying to get away with stuff and what is sort of genuine, like, let's let it play a little bit. And I can't remember who was it. G. I think Adam G was doing that one, but Adam G, in my opinion, I think he's absolutely nailed the refereeing in that game. Honestly, there wasn't much. I didn't say he was perfect, Chris. Thank you, but there wasn't much that he did wrong, in my opinion. Like, he let the game flow, but also, like, towards the end, he let the game flow when the Panthers realized, hey, we're not going to get away with this. Let's try to pull it up a little bit and let's try to be a bit more behaved. And then the game was fantastic. So, to be honest with you, I loved it.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the officiating, Chad, especially early on?
Yeah, I'm not bothered by it at all. I think I had a couple of people comment on some of the posts and stuff like that, and I think even in our draft group that we've got set up, a few people came in and I said, I'm not bothered by this. I actually thought I thought G was by far the best ref on the weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, well, Ryan's just gone and said that as well. I'm not bothered by it at all. I thought he did a really good job, and like you both said it, but he had to sort of stamp his authority, but without being authoritative. Does that make sense? Like, he had to go down and go, all right, this is what's not going to happen. I'm not going to allow some of these things, but without being authoritative, like kind of like what happened with Klein today, which I didn't like, but I'm not bothered by it.
Well, a couple of moments, Chris has mentioned a couple of times. Obviously, that fantastic try that they did score, buried deep in their set. Yes, I do agree. It was a forward pass. Referee did miss one there. On a couple of the other moments, though, because there's been a lot of people that Penrith really trigger off, started to realise, and I'm almost going to put a ban on myself going on social media within 24 hours of Penrith playing, because they seem to just really get to a lot of fans out there. I don't think that the double movement try that people are trying to call, I don't think it was. I think it was clear momentum got into the line and he put the ball down. So I'm not too sure. I don't think that was controversial whatsoever. And I just feel like in general, there was just no other like moments that I thought were controversial. I don't know where people are trying to pick at things, but I just think, sorry, Trav, you got something?
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in there. And the only reason why I want to jump in is because I don't really see too much difference to what that double movement was to what Lasada did Friday night. Lasada gets, if you remember his try, where, look, it's obviously different, but I don't think it's too dissimilar. Like, Lasada gets tackled, he lands before the line, and then as he's still moving, he picks the ball up and then drops it on the ground. I don't think there's too much difference, to be fair. And they were both tries. I agree with them.
Yeah. Was there any other controversial moments in that game, Jake, that I've missed? But felt like there was a lot of whinging at the end of that, but it just feels like all of it was just sort of more so Warriors fans trying to say poor me in a way, and not just at the time we were heated.
And Penrith haters, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that there are any more. But I do think that it was the forward pass. That wasn't the final try. It was the one that sort of set in motion them scoring a few at the end, wasn't it? Yeah,
the Warriors were burying them in their own half. It's a good defensive set.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate, but unfortunately, forward passes are get away with in every game throughout the year. Like, it's just that they get away with forward passes and just
score a try.
Yeah, I know, it's just tough. It is tough.
That was one I forgot. I don't think it was a drop either. I actually think it went backwards, but I think it did go backwards. So
I actually thought it didn't touch his hands. From what I looked at, it looked like it didn't touch his hands. It hit his knee, and then he picked it up.
Yeah, I didn't feel like that one. It was tight. Even if it did touch his hands, I think it still went backwards. But hey, it was what it was. I want to go and just say to Penrith, and what I was saying a bit earlier, I really want to just say to them, and look, people can say I like whatever. I'm a Para fan, so I have no reason whatsoever to be cheering or fangirling fanboying the Panthers like at all. Like I'm that jealous of what they're achieving. It's ridiculous. I wish I'd finished with a spoon for once. Their game and their management of things and how they go about it as an outfit is just getting to the point where it's utterly ridiculous from a rugby league point of view. They did 38 from 41 completions in a game that started off with pissing down rain, which then made it just basically a thing of soap they played with for the rest of the game, slippery as conditions, to complete at 38 from 41 completion rate. That is taking the piss. That's actually taking the piss. That should just be everything that you need to know when it comes to whatever happened in this game. Penrith were just the better side. They were the better football side. When you add then to the mix a guy called Nathan Cleary, who time and time again now at NRL level has shown he is the GOAT of the current generation. It is just ridiculous what he does on a football field. Now, I felt like for a lot of this game, Penrith played in third gear. I actually feel like they've got a couple more gears to go that they didn't really need to get to. I think they organised it perfectly with Nathan Cleary pulling the strings. His kicking game was one of the best kicking games I've seen in a long time. Again, in those conditions, how slippery the ball was, to be getting it to stop where he was and putting it in corners. The amount of times he kicked early, any other halfback or 5'8" that is still in this game needs to go back and look at that and see how much of an advantage it is when you kick the ball early in finals football and get teams on the back foot. And if you can get them in a corner, that is worth its weight in absolute gold. Trav, before I end up saying too much more and be labelled a Penrith fanboy, what do you think of him in that performance?
I thought they were brilliant. We said on the Wednesday preview show what the Warriors had to do, right? They were the number one team in the comp for completion rate. We said that they had to, but they were also the worst team in the comp for errors. And what's the one thing you had to do? You have to do against the Panthers. You have to complete your sets so that you can get deep kicks, and you have to not do errors that gives them good ball or gives them good position. And unfortunately, they didn't do either. 72% completion rate. I know Michelle's jumped on here and said it was good. It's actually against Penrith, 72% is not good. You can't run with that.
It's not enough.
It's against Penrith. You just cannot do that. You have to be that. It has to be 80 and above. Like you've really got a bit. But then when you're giving them the ball off 16 errors, you're giving them 16 extra possessions. Like it's just you can't be doing that against Penrith. And unfortunately, that's just what it was. It was just a weight of errors and a weight of incompletion that really set them off. And Penrith just had that field day. And in the end, that's how they were able to put on it. And that's what they do. They froth at the mouth for that, right? It's just, we'll grind you until eventually you give in, right? And it can be boring because we see Penrith do it so much. This is what they do. But yeah, unfortunately, that's the wires played into the hands of what Penrith want them to do. And for as good as an effort they were, they did exactly what Penrith wanted them to do.
It was just Penrith doing what Penrith do best, wasn't it, Jake?
It was. I want to kind of take this from a Warriors point of view to understand what I'm talking about. So what I think it looked like the Warriors game plan was to out-energize them early. Like it looked like they came and tried to let's out-energize them early. Let's get on top of them. Let's get ahead of this game. If we can get a try or two on the board, maybe we can try to then whatever they would try to do from there.
That's what got him in the end, not scoring that first 10 minutes stint.
Yeah.
And that's what I agree with. So that's what I was about to say is what Penrith did perfectly over all that other stuff that we've talked about is their line defense, goal line defense, and holding the Warriors out and not letting them score that in that early period where the Warriors were giving it every single bit of like an energy and effort that they had. It's a mental game throughout the game as well. Like and as good as the Warriors did to hold through the game with them up until a certain point, that energy, that big amount of energy that they were using at the start of that game, where they were all three, like they had three people in every tackle trying to push them back and stuff like that, that gets you at the end. That's always going to get you at the end. So if you're going to do that type of thing, you need to, take your time. You need to pay attention to how long you're doing that for, and maybe not do it for they just gas themselves out early.
I literally have a case of deja vu. Sorry, boys. I feel like that's been said about Penrith for 5 years now.
You were spot on, Jay, because I was watching that, and after 10 minutes to see the fact that the Warriors hadn't scored a try yet, I thought straight away Penrith were on. Like,
Done.
sorry to say it this early on, but I could see where this game was going, and we've just seen it so many times. Again, if they were able to crack Penrith then, and that would have been a totally different story. It would have been like, oh, hang on, some of these younger guys who haven't been there before may have started to doubt things, but they literally just went straight back into robotic mode, and it was just the Penrith of old. Again, commiserations to the Warriors, impacted a lot through injuries throughout the back half of the year. Fans showed up, fantastic atmosphere. I know the conditions weren't ideal for it, but you all showed up again, which was great to see. Really keen to see what you guys can do next year. But again, we'll talk more about that with our end of season review. Last game of the round was the Sharks versus the Roosters. Look, many believe it was probably the worst game of the round. It was there was points there where it was a little bit, when you compare it to the rest of the games, there was definitely some potential moments. I actually didn't mind it from a point of view that it felt like quite a very traditional elimination final game where both teams knew what was at stake for a lot of that game and was like, oh, I'm not going to try that because that might be my bags getting packed to finish the season. So it was quite a cautious game, but to be fair, like I said, for what was at stake, I didn't mind it. Jake, you had the thumb down. You weren't a fan of this one.
God, that was an absolute snooze fest. I was struggling to watch that one. I really was. Look, on the Rooster side of things, Marky Mark is always entertaining, and he did another freakish thing where he kind of like kept himself from going out, threw the ball back in and stuff like that, and he scored his first try. Was really good. Like, he's an entertainment machine. Ronaldo Mulatalo is interesting to look at, but just when a team completes it, and Roosters completed at 68%, when a team completes at 68% in a finals match, I'm like this is a game I should be glued to. The other teams completed at much higher percentages for much longer. I'm like, if you're going to complete at 68% for a finals match, you don't deserve to be there. And to be fair, the Sharks got to a 79% completion rate, but I also think that was at the end of it where the Roosters had kind of given up and they kind of took over them. That's where they kind of got a few extra completed sets there, where they weren't doing that well for completed sets either. It was just so boring.
I tell you what, you're a harsh judge, I reckon. Trav, are you agreeing?
Look, it wasn't entertaining like the other games. I wouldn't say it was a boring game. I thought it was good. I'm very happy the Sharks won. And think they deserve it. I thought they played well. You're right. The Roosters were their own worst enemy for sure. 16 errors again, poor completion set. But that's been their story all year. That's just the Roosters, yeah. I was very disappointed in the game of Sam Walker and was really excited to see what he would do in the finals after, he was pretty much fit and raring to go. He missed last week or missed the week before because of the HIE and things, but he's fit and raring and ready to go. And I was very disappointed in that. Quite disappointed in the Roosters pack other than White. I thought White was really good. Particularly early, he was just a wrecking ball early. And geez, he's big. He made the Sharks boys look very small, but I thought the Sharks held up really nicely. I hope you're going to say something about the Mulatalu Nwanga Tawasi duel, Joel, because I actually really like
either of them.
I like Ronaldo's. I actually liked the way Ronaldo played and really enjoyed what he did. I liked the grunt and the shit mentality that he took into that game and how he gave it to Marky Mark, and I really enjoyed that. I thought in the end, I actually think Militalo got the I think he got the chocolates in terms of the matchup.
I was about to ask that question. Jake, who you reckon won that matchup, Mulatalo or Mark Nwanga?
I think that the player on the team that won the matchup. So I think Ronaldo did win the matchup. I think he got it over him in the end.
So that's a cop out. I'm actually going to go the opposite, and I actually reckon Mark won it. I actually thought he was phenomenal yesterday, and probably the Roosters' best player on the field.
Can I say it was a tie?
I felt like any time it was him against Mulatalo in like a duel, it felt like Mark won. Every single time, which for mine makes him come out on top for the duel itself, because Mulatalo came out in the week and said some comments publicly about, oh, you haven't seen my air game and you know what I've done, things like that. So he had a big talk coming into it. I just think when it came to aerial duels, Mark won almost every single time, even in defensively where he has shown some weaknesses in the past. He seemed to get up and catch every single one from my memory. So I actually thought Marky Mark probably saved one of his best games in terms of overall game till last. I actually think he's odds on for a ticket on the plane now to go over and play those England test matches.
Oh, 100%. I don't know what you're seeing. Like, he wasn't bad, and I thought he played really well, but Mark still has those deficiencies that just stand out like bloody dog's balls, man. Like like some of those defensive reads, the one that he literally slides on ice and was it Ero? Let Ero get through let Mulatalo get through for the try. And to be fair, like there was some moments where he, like that one that Jake just mentioned before about how he bounced on his left leg to keep his right leg up so he doesn't step out of bounds. Like that was freakish. He's a gymnast. I think I said that to everybody, that he just sounds like a gymnast. But it was Toya inside made him look really good on the weekend. Like I thought he was really, really good, and that helped Mark make himself look a bit better.
Yeah. The Roosters side of things, you already mentioned it, and thanks to the comment then by Sirex about when under pressure, Roosters are chokers. I was really disappointed. I think this all came off the back of Sammy Walker. I thought his game was really poor yesterday, which from your halfback, from your main player, the talk of, especially at the moment with DCE rumored to sign, that it's still going to be Sam Walker's team when it comes to this sort of a moment. And I thought the Roosters would win the game. Credit to obviously the Sharks that they played. We'll get there, but I was really disappointed with how Sam Walker played in the end. I thought a game that he should have easily grabbed with both hands and put on an exhibition. He did the opposite and sort of crumbled away as the game went on. Like his kicking game, which is normally his strong point. I spoke earlier about Ben Hunt's one today. I actually think Sam Walker's probably one of the worst kicking games of the weekend, unfortunately. It really, really cost the Roosters, Jake. You're muted. Well done.
Sorry, let me just change my name on here to Trav.
Oh,
yeah, I was actually gonna say something. I was actually going to say something on here about that before you got there, which was that I thought that both halves, not just Walker, their attacking kicking game was just off the mark. They just were not finding the spots that they were aiming for. Even that first one, you saw Marky Mark get up for one real early, and I remember hearing the commentators say, if that was right above the line, there's a try in that. And I agree. Like, if they're putting these kicks, you got two attacking weapons on either side, Marky Mark and Tupou. Like, I understand the Sharks obviously have Ronaldo, so you can kick it on either side depending on what you want to do. But just, I just think that their kicks were either in the in-goal or way too far away to be effective. And then just, especially Walker, just not much in there, to be honest.
Yeah. You had your say about that one, Trav, but I just want to also mention to you, and someone you've watched very closely this year, Connor Watson. I actually wasn't that impressed with Connor Watson's game either. I actually thought he was pretty poor. I mean, I was surprised I left him on throughout the game. I thought Luelu's first stint was actually really impressive in the way the Roosters played, seemed to benefit them the most. And I was just shocked that they didn't bring him back on in that second half, where I think it was very clear that Watson was really struggling out there.
Yeah, the Roosters looked really good early with Luelu at the dummy half, and his defense, the way that he held the line, how he attacked off the line, his line speed was really good. But then in attack, good ball, good early quick ball to his forwards, made the right decisions, went the right ways. Watson just got lost. Two errors everywhere, poor decisions, poor passes. To be fair, he had one good run. I had to laugh because you walked out and talked about Watson and how bad he was, and I said, well, to be fair, he had one other than his one good run. That's literally all he did, man. Like he was just it was not Watson like. And And to be fair, I actually probably haven't seen Watson play well for a while now since Trent Robinson's brought Luelu in and the way that he's been playing. And I think Luelu is the way to go for their night.
I agree. I absolutely agree, Jake.
Well, that like
they've got a
9,
big signing, obviously. So
yeah, with Robson.
you've got Robson coming in, but like let's pretend that they had another game to go. Let's pretend they had one more game in this season. Like you'd be picking. Well, yeah, you'd be picking the same sort of. I'd do the same thing they did. Look, unfortunately, Watson had a bad game, and we both said it earlier. Well, you said it earlier, Trev. You're allowed to have a bad game. They happen, right?
I don't think
like that. No, and I understand that, right? It is an elimination final. There's no you get a redo. I get that. Unfortunately, he did have a bad game, but I wouldn't say that I would have changed it. Like I probably would have seen he was having a bad game and put Luelu. All right, I would have probably switched Luelu back in that specific game. But in general, like Watson is a good 14. It's not as if he's not a good 14. He suits the role. He brings on energy when he comes in. He had a bad game. His passes were off. I think that's a coaching issue that he didn't get swapped back off when it was clear that he wasn't succeeding in the role that he needed to succeed in. So I think it's a coaching issue personally.
Robinson put some faith into him, and unfortunately, the faith wasn't repaid. One final thing on the Roosters, and they were given, I thought, a really tough call right on halftime. The play leading before the try with the break was clearly, it did come off Jesse Ramien's hand. It should have actually been, the play should have been over with. There shouldn't have been continuing. And that was a massive momentum changer in that game. That gave Sharks everything. It gave the crowd reason to really start making some noise in and around the halftime break and come back in with some energy. So it was, in my opinion, a very clear moment where the refs got that one wrong. I was about to say the Trav, but he went on mute, Jake.
No. Sorry.
Trav.
Go on, Trav. You go, Trav. You look like you want to talk about it. You go for it.
Oh, I don't know. So it was a clear. You're talking about Sam Walker with the drop, and Ramien clearly.
I don't know what he was thinking, but yeah, Ramien did get it. So
yeah, so he clearly swipes that, and it goes down, hits Walker's foot, and goes straight up, and off he goes. It was a very clear miss, unfortunately, but yeah, the ref missed that. But I can see how the ref missed that. That like the ref is on his right side and in the middle of the field. Yeah, so then you got the touchies, but the touchies aren't really do much, do they? So yeah, unfortunately the ref missed that one, but yeah, there's been plenty this weekend.
I know you got to go, Jake. So I'll let you start with the Sharkies, and then me and Trav will finish it. Just your thoughts on the Sharks, how they performed. Their forward pack was massive, but I think the second stints of both their middles were unreal. It's probably the reason why they actually have ended up winning the game. And I actually thought it was the first time in a long time that it felt like, and I said it in my little reel thing afterwards, that it felt like Hines and Trindle actually were on the same page for once. It actually felt like they were just, for once, when, you know what, we're actually a harvest pairing. We're not actually here to do everything ourselves. And it looked like it actually really worked.
100%. Going forward, I think that as long as they can do that again, they will be okay. That's the main thing. They need to keep that up, and they can't rely on. Yes, their forwards had a good second stint, but you've got to be doing that the entire game, in my opinion. What's his name? Was it Toby Rudolph that scored the final try for them?
Rudolph scored.
Yeah, he actually ended up having a relatively good game, but overall, I thought the Sharks were the better of two bad teams or relatively bad teams, and I don't think they move on past the next week.
Thank you for your kind words. I'll let you go, mate. I know you got to go, so we'll see you next week after the big game. Cheers. So, cheers, mate. Trav, what are your thoughts on that one from the Sharks' point of view?
From the Haas point of view, to be fair, when haven't Trindle and Hines, like we've been really critical of the way they've played, and in this moment here, they've won the game. Nico Hines taken a backward step and realised that this game is Trindle's one. It's pretty much what they've done all year, like in every game. The difference is that they've won, so we're not riding Hines over the coals. Whereas in the past we've done that to whoever it was that didn't have the big game. Trindle was great. I thought he was really good on the weekend. Nico Hines wasn't good, but he wasn't bad. He was okay. And so I think that halves-wise, I thought they did all right. But again, it's the story of how they've played all year. It's one has done well and the other one's taken a backward step. They've just won, so we're calming on them. I didn't think AFB was superior, but did his role. And this is the thing that I think is a bit scary for the Sharks, or for next week's in the Raiders, is I didn't think the Sharks played bad, but I didn't think they were great either. And I think they're going to get better. And I think next week in another elimination final, I think they're going to get better. Like Iro's now going to have a few games under his boot. I thought Kennedy was pretty good, particularly early. I think Brayley probably wasn't his dominant self that he's had yet. So he's got an extra cog in his boot. Like I think it's actually scary for the Raiders to play the Sharks next week.
It's definitely going to be an uncomfortable game, that's for sure, especially like what we said before, the Raiders and the way they're going to have to back up and find ways to make it work. The best thing for the Raiders is it's going to be another home game for them. I was actually quite impressed with, like, just when it comes to the halves. I'm not saying necessarily they had a fantastic game either. I think Trindle was probably the better of the two, but I just thought the actual combined a lot better yesterday or last night. It didn't feel like they were trying to do this tug of war where it's felt like that way it's been like that for a lot of the years. So it just felt like they were more so a combination for the first time in a while. And funnily enough, it was in a game where they really needed to.
Yeah. Like, I suppose, like, I think Hines realised the difference probably from what I think you're seeing to the past is that Hines wanted to be the halfback. So Hines wanted to put, and this is that tug of war you're calling for. And Hines wanted the ball in his hands and then wanted to try and push it or be that playmaker. Whereas last night, Hines realised that it's Trindle, and instead trying to do that sort of tug of war fight that he had, he just decided to run. So and I think that was the difference. And so therefore now there's no fight. We're not talking about the difference in the halves trying to combat each other. Nico Hines literally took a step back and said, I'm just going to be a runner here when I've got my moments. And I thought he did well. And defensively, I thought Nico Hines was pretty good too. So yeah, but I get what you're saying, but I don't really see too dissimilar to what they've done for most of the year in terms of the halves. It's just Hines has probably gone, instead of trying to be a playmaker, I'm going to be a runner, and they won. So we're not having an argument here too much about it.
Yeah, it was very weird. Like, I agree with you in terms of my notes. I've got a lot of Roosters notes from this game, positive and negatively. But when it comes to the Sharks, I actually just don't have much, and I don't have much when it comes to a negative thing either. Like, it's just one of those games where the Sharks probably just had one of those 7 out of 10 games across the park, basically, which works for that sort of elimination final game. They were at home. They took advantage of that. And their defense, like, there was one thing, their defense was pretty good. They were quite stern with that. I noticed Fitzy was really big on that in his presser last night, which really impressed me, actually. That's obviously, we keep hearing it, in finals, it's the best defense will win majority of those games, if not all those games. And that was definitely where the Sharks' strength was last night. It was definitely that defensive effort and attitude. So credit to them. Just quickly, we will do our preview, obviously, our Wednesday night podcast. But just with the way things are shaping up at the moment, the Sharks and Raiders, Trav, you reckon at the moment, have you got the Raiders slightly ahead?
I've got the Raiders slightly ahead because they're at home. I think today's loss is going to be a big wake-up call to them. And they, as I said, the recovery is much easier. They don't have to do anything other than they go straight from the ground to their home, to their bed. So they'll wake up in the morning, they go straight to rehab, and they'll be sweet by Saturday. So, I don't have too much of an issue with that. So I think they'll be okay. The Sharks can't turn up and play like they did on the weekend in Canberra, though. They need to complete better. They still missed 41 tackles. Can't do that against the Raiders. You miss 41 tackles and Kyle Weeks is running past you each and every time. Stranger's running past you each and every time. Tarpany and those big boppers in the middle are running past and offloading because they freaking love an offload. So you can't miss those tackles. And if you miss those tackles, that just releases the Raiders offload. So yeah, the Sharks are going to have to tighten that up. But if they do, the Sharks have got another cog. I think this will be a really good game if they can tighten that up.
Absolutely agree with that one. I'm actually very curious to see how Ricky tackles this week moving forward. It's going to be a massive week, a huge recovery week where I reckon the focus should be more on recovery than getting anything else extra right on the field. I think there's just a couple of little moments where he probably pulls aside Fogarty mainly and just says, hey, this is what we've got to sort of do next weekend if this sort of thing plays out. Because when you're up by 16 plus points with 20 odd minutes to go, as a halfback, you should be making sure when you're of the quality that Fogarty is, you should be getting your team across the line. So that was definitely one that's got away.
Man, we said in the preview, we said that inexperience is probably going to be the Raiders' problem. And even with an experienced Fogarty, not in big games. And then a few weeks ago, I remember, was it a few weeks ago, or did you actually say it on the weekend that your eyes were spread open a little bit further when you saw Fogarty miss that field goal? And what did he do today?
It was a conversion that he missed that was so easy. And I was thinking, that's the first pressure moment he's had against Penrith, against a big team in a big moment. And he missed it. He did both as well. He missed the field goal. Then today, he missed that conversion, which was pretty easy again. And sort of gave me flashbacks. Yes, gave me flashbacks. So, and I just think, I know Broncos were on the attack a lot of it. It was hard to wrestle some momentum away in this modern game, but there's a couple of little moments where Fogarty got tackled on the last, and I remember Ennis was big on this today as well. That's a no-no. In the last 10 minutes of the game, your halfback cannot be getting tackled on the last because he needs to be taking the kick. And then, funnily enough, we saw Strange put up a shocker, and Broncos were straight away on the attack, basically off that midfield bomb that went nowhere. So Fogarty's got to just step up a little bit more, in my opinion. Second one, obviously, Penrith Dogs are injury depleted at the moment. All talk is Kikau will play, but it looks like Tuala is out and Crichton will be out for at least this week. Gus has apparently said today it's not a syndesmosis. It's more around the ankle stuff. So I'm not getting into the big things about the injury. We'll see obviously a lot more will come out over the next few days about that. But whatever it ends up being, he's at least out for this week, which will be huge. I think Penrith would just be a bit too classy in this one. My early thoughts.
Way too classy. Unfortunately, the Bulldogs have done their dash. They really needed to win on Friday night because of the injury toll that they've got. I have to laugh at Gus because Crichton actually said it's syndesmosis, and also the trainers said on the night that it's syndesmosis. So what's Gus doing?
Playing the media.
I think Carraz is also on one leg. Unfortunately, he just didn't have, and he was hobbling the whole game. Like, especially after every run, you could see even after tackles, he was just hobbling. Yeah, just unfortunately, the Bulldogs are in a bit of trouble with injuries, and it's at a bad time. And they, as we said, they just don't have the combinations. But it's literally like they're ready for preseason.
Last one for you for the night. I know you might be biased with this, but Broncos and the Storm now get to put their feet up for a week. Is that the likely, or do you think that's the grand final we'll be looking at? The Melbourne Storm will take on the Brisbane Broncos, or you think there's another twist in this fantastic season we've had so far?
I think Penrith do the Bulldogs, not comfortably, but well enough this weekend. That matchup, Penrith Broncos in Brisbane, is going to be a beauty. I'm really looking forward to that one. And to be fair, the Storm, we've limped into the finals. We really needed a rest. We really needed it. I think we get the Sharks or the Raiders at home next week or the week after in 2 weeks. So I think we're okay. I'm okay with that. So I think it'll be Storm. Yeah, Penrith can do anything, hey. And to be fair, like the Broncos play 20 minutes of ripping footy and got the win. I don't think they were great in extra time or golden point, to be fair. And it was a good game, but yeah, I'm going to pick Penrith. I'm going to go Penrith Storm at this point.
Yeah, if Penrith can wrestle it down into, not wrestle, I shouldn't say that the wrestle part, but they get it down to a game that Penrith we know love. I don't know if Brisbane can go with them, unfortunately. But yeah, fantastic first week of finals. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. We'll be back next week doing exactly the same, covering the 2 games. So a much quicker episode, things like that. But check out Tuesday night. We'll do Supercoach finals. We'll cover that for the second week in a row. Talk about all our scores, things like that. And then Wednesday, our podcast will be out that we do with Savs, doing our preview of finals week 2 games in depth. So thank you again. Smash that like, subscribe button, all that sort of jazz. And we will see you during the week. Goodbye.